guys, my name is Christopher Middleton and welcome to Volume 2 in the Passed Away Groundworks series. In this video we're going to be looking at some character development from the story. The story actually has a lot of characters, so for the sake of time we're just going to take a pretty close look at 2 and then a really quick look at a few background characters and some other characters that play a part later on in the story. Hope you enjoy and thanks for watching.
Okay, so here we are with Jason. He's the main protagonist in the story. A little bit of back info on the story. The story takes place about 100, maybe like 150 years in the future, and it's Halloween. So most of the characters are in Halloween costumes, but Jason is actually not in a costume. He actually is a pizza delivery guy. And a little bit of backstory about Jason. A few years ago, Jason was kind of on top of the world. He was the star quarterback for the national championship football high school team. And, different colleges and everything were kind of fighting over, getting him to, giving him scholarships to their schools and everything. But around that time, tragedy actually struck, and he was in a really bad car accident where he was really badly injured and his girlfriend at the time was actually killed. So Jason sort of had a several year long spiral downward as he actually injured his throwing arm, so kind of like most of his scholarships and all else things sort of evaporated, and plus he was in a depression about the death of his girlfriend, which, like I said, just sent him into several year long spiral downward that he sort of just now at the beginning of this story starting to rebound from. So it's a little back story on him. So pretty early on in the design phase for Jason, I kind of had a decently clear idea of kind of like how I wanted him to look. Wanted him to be kind of scruffy, but still somebody that we could look at as ultimately somebody that is going to kind of be, I guess, sort of a somewhat heroic character, not too heroic, but so that's kind of like where he started. These drawings, actually I just dropped these in here into this Photoshop file, but they're sort of chronologically ordered. So like these drawings at the top are the first ones. As we go down, they're later drawings that I did. So as we get in here, we get into I guess what I call kind of his realistic phase, but I kind of started to hone in on the different elements of his face that I kind of wanted to keep as I kind of developed further. Just like this little goatee, kind of like this earring, this little cut in his eyebrow, which brings me to a point that about his character that I wanted to mention, which was I wanted Jason to have visibly very noticeable scars on the outside of his body, something that was kind of ever present. And this idea actually is a recurring theme in the story. It kind of ties into the name of it, actually, Passed Away, which deals with the fact that in our kind of modern society, the past is something that sort of sticks with you, whether it's like bad credit or student loans or a criminal record or whatever. The past is like this baggage that you carry with you. But in this story, and in I guess kind of all zombie stories, an interesting idea that I really wanted to play with was the idea that when you're thrust into this kind of post-apocalyptic situation, the past very rapidly sort of becomes irrelevant, and all that really matters is today. And so Jason, a big part of his character is that he's someone who's been trying to kind of forget, or been trying to kind of get over his past and sort of leave it behind, but he literally can't, because he has reminders all over his body. And so I guess that's something around this stage that I kind of integrated into his design. Coming down here. So these are some of the first storyboards I did. I actually jumped straight into storyboards before I really had a solidified design for Jason, which I think you can kind of tell with these boards. It's like he's kind of, from like here to here to here to here to here, they kind of jump all over the place. So I kind of really wasn't quite happy with it at this stage yet. But ultimately, what I ended up with was these designs, because basically I wanted to stylize his character a bit more and give it a bit more room for playing with expression and and just kind of like stylization and something that I could, something that was a little bit more pushed, but not too much. I didn't really want it to feel too cartoony, I guess I'll say. And so these are actually some of the storyboards after I, kind of solidified his design more, which I was actually a lot happier with. This is actually from the scene where we're having a flashback where he's remembering the night that he had the accident and his girlfriend died. So that's it for Jason. Next up is Tanya. Okay, so Tanya is actually a childhood friend of Jason's, and she was actually Jason's girlfriend that died. Her name was Amy. She was actually Amy's best friend growing up. One of the first scenes in the story when it begins is Jason is delivering a pizza to a party, and Tanya is at the party, and she's actually the one that answers the door when he gets there. He hasn't seen her in several years, and they kind of fell out of communication. So their first time seeing each other several years later is Jason delivering pizza to this party. It's actually a college party that she's at. So it's kind of a bit of an awkward moment there. At the beginning of starting to do some kind of like research here and some preliminary sketches for Tanya's design, I kind of pretty early on had liked this little, I think this is one of like the very first drawings that I did, and then I kind of like actually really liked that drawing, but still wanted to kind of explore some other stuff. But eventually, I just kind of stuck with that first general idea, with like these afro puffs and this kind of like thing in the front that started off being just kind of like this little squiggly line thing that ultimately evolved into these little tube shaped things that are kind of like representations of curls. So let's check some of this out. Oh, this is the study I did just because I was looking. I think this is Corin Bailey Ray. I just kind of like did this drawing because she kind of had the similar feeling of kind of what I was going for with Tanya. So just some early drawing and sketches of her. This was the first kind of full color pass I did of her. She's in a Halloween costume, and it's supposed to be kind of like a 60s, 70s like type of costume, and I didn't really feel like this really sold that good enough, so I eventually changed it to this, which kind of like felt more like like Austin Powers, like that that era type of outfit. These sketches I was kind of trying to hone in on her face and features of her face, the shapes of her eyes, proportions, and all that kind of stuff. Just just sort of zeroing in on what I felt like kind of felt right, and all that stuff, which ultimately ended up around here with these designs, being ultimately kind of like what I settled with for her figure. And this is her face down here. And so that was Tanya. Okay, so lastly, I just kind of like wanted to share some of the other kind of like side characters or just random characters and concepts that either play a small role in this first episode of the story, or are characters that play a more major role later on in the story. So I'll just kind of kind of running out of time, so I think I'll just kind of like browse over these a little bit and maybe say a little bit, a few words. Like this was I had a image in my head of like a situation where somebody kind of comes across this guy in like the back of a police van or something, and he's obviously been arrested for something, but is still alive, and as the situation gets worse, it's like I guess morality is starting to disintegrate, but it hasn't completely yet. It's a dilemma of do we just leave this guy because he's apparently like a criminal, or do we accept the fact that, well, he's still a human being, let's let him out, let's help him, whatever. This is Johnny. I had also another idea for a character that kind of loses it as everything kind of goes to hell, and he's for Halloween he was in this chicken suit, but he never comes out again of this suit. We never see him outside the suit, and he just completely decides that he is going to become the chicken, and so he kind of goes off the deep end as everything kind of gets turned upside down. These are just some sketches for different kind of like background or side characters, during Halloween. It's a police officer. It's for this one scene. Other ideas. These are some characters that come into play later on. These are some early concepts for a character that actually is a major character in the story, but not so much in episode 1 of the story. This police officer is actually a design that I ultimately decided not to use. Just after a while, it was one of the first designs I did, and after a while I just kind of didn't really particularly like it anymore. Okay, so I'll just sort of end this here, but thanks for watching. That's a quick look into some of the character development for Passed Away. Thanks for watching.